Crypto millionaire who sued me now facing 15 years in prison. Dude, this guy's got some fucking Gucci tracksuit. That's Gucci, right? Green, blue, and red. Oh, it's so tacky. Crypto millionaire.
Do I have your attention now?
Bro, talk about aggressive. Whoa, okay.
This former multi-millionaire
Grandpa,
crypto YouTuber has
chill.
completely destroyed his life over the last couple of years to the point where he's become almost unrecognizable. The dude went
They
from
don't feed you well in prison, huh?
being a married decamillionaire with a family, flexing his Lamborghini,
Dude is living like he's 20 years old, man.
while suing me for calling him out for scamming his audience, to now whatever this is. Because within a year of suing me, his entire empire started collapsing, including his Lambo being taken away from his business partner. Then he was arrested outside of his business partner's house with his mistress when he showed up to steal his Lamborghini.
His mistress. This guy had a mistress.
Back.
Oh, it
Then he
just shows
got out
why
of
he gets you
jail,
everything,
got
bro.
divorced,
It's so
started touring the world with his mistress, and even fighting in a few boxing matches.
Does he have a... He has a steak tattoo. That's unironically insane. I didn't know you could even do that. Well, I guess it's free advertising, so I guess they wouldn't mind that. Yeah, it's a walking billboard. I wonder if he charges, like, for, like, showing his, like, arms.
She ended up dumping him, and then he dropped
His mistress dumped him?
this manifesto,
Probably
and
'cause he ran
eventually
out of money.
ended up in jail and is now facing 15 years in prison. At this point, it seems like he's lived like multiple lifetimes in the span of like 3 years. And to be honest,
What is stake? It's a gambling website. Literally, it's a gambling website. It's the equivalent of getting, like, Marlboro, the logo tattooed on your arm. Yeah, like, it's crazy.
I didn't expect this to go down hills quickly because, again, all of this happened in like 3 years. So meet Ben Armstrong, or BitBoy Crypto. Many of you guys would recognize him as the dude who sued me for defamation a few years ago.
So I just got some stuff for you.
Oh, what is it?
I don't know. It's just a box.
I don't need it.
Dude, what the fuck? If someone is coming up to my door and knocking and saying, hey, here's your I would not open that.
Well, you've been served early.
What are you doing? So yeah, I have officially been sued.
Why did he do that? Well, because I made a video about his video on this token called Pamp, where he literally said, this coin can only go up. So I called him out for scamming his audience after that coin rug pulled. He obviously didn't like that, so he sent me a cease and desist to delete the video. I completely ignored that, and then, a few months later, he ended up suing me. And to me...
It's so low IQ. People who are stupid with money just astound me. Like, you got lucky and you just can't stop being stupid.
And this is my opinion, it seemed like he wanted to sue me to drain me for as much money as possible because he wanted to get back at me because
a slap lawsuit.
Made this video on him. And again, this is because he didn't like a video of mine where I called him out for scamming his audience. So I guess his brilliant idea was to sue me, which backfired on him because I didn't want to surrender to a scammer. So I decided to make him suing me as public as possible because he didn't want this public at all. Because at the end of the day, he didn't have a case. And I wanted to make sure that people knew that he was being paid to bring retail investors into awful investments. So I decided to make a response and raise funds to fight this. But at the time, I felt like that original video I made on him could cause me some sort of like interstellar moment where that one move cost me 52 years, or maybe instead of 52 years, cost me like, I don't know, 5 to 10 years of my life. Because if I somehow lost that suit, had to pay for his attorneys, pay my attorney's fees, and whatever damages he decided to claim, that could have been a disgusting amount of money. I would still be paying that off to this day. Because I was hearing this could cost me anywhere from like, $50,000 all the way into the millions.
Such an asshole, dude.
Awesome. Thankfully, we dodged that bullet because of you guys. Because in the US, unfortunately, you can keep appealing and delaying a suit, and that will then cost the person way more money. And meanwhile, the dude is out here flexing his lavish lifestyle and claiming to be worth over $10 million. But thanks to all of you guys, and specifically Kobe, who donated over $100,000, combined, we raised about $250,000 overnight. And,
Dude,
just
over nice, dude. His community loves him.
Over 24
Good
hours
for
later, BitBoy then
him.
decided to drop the lawsuit
Euler.
because, in my opinion,
Dude, Euler dropped 100 grand. That's awesome. What
he
the
just
fuck?
assumed that it wouldn't financially hurt me anymore, and it became too public. He wanted this hidden. Again, this is my opinion for why he dropped that lawsuit. Who knows what really happened, though? But that really does set the bar for the kind of person that we're
Gee
dealing here
willikers,
today. And
I
unfortunately
wonder.
for Big Ben here, the clock was really ticking because, you know, since the last time I
Tick-tock
covered him on this
on the
channel,
clock.
things have gotten so much worse for him. And this whole story is just so deeply interconnected from start to finish that skipping even one single part can throw everything off. It's just like the
All right.
classic butterfly effect.
I don't know anything about this. I gotta know from the get-go.
Overlook one shady detail of him and suddenly half of it doesn't make sense. It's just like a bad domino effect. That's essentially his career, specifically the last 3 years. Back to when things were going really well for Ben, he managed to build himself into one of the most recognizable faces in the influencer crypto space. I mean, and I've always thought
Influencer crypto should not be in the same fucking sphere, bro.
he came across as a massive
Influencer
grifter, but
rich
apparently
person.
there are
I
a lot
hate
of impressionable
that.
people out there, as the guy was pulling in hundreds of thousands of viewers listening to him talk about what digital coin would make them rich. And his whole brand was built around the idea that he was just some regular dude who figured out the crypto game. And 5 times a week, Ben would go live to his massive audience, breaking down various cryptocurrency projects, discussing coins like, I don't know, Hamp coin, the only coin that can go up only, and basically everything from there
Shiba
to
Inu
Bitcoin.
coin,
Essentially,
Smug
it seems like he
coin.
covered absolutely everything, from these scams to the more reputable projects. And a big gimmick of his channel was that traditional finance was corrupt, and crypto, that was your real path to financial freedom. Essentially, it was kind of like, see this Lamborghini? My Lamborghini in my garage here. Yeah, that wasn't just a car for him. It was pretty much, you know, sold as
That guy also crypto scanned. The guy in my garage.
proof that his system worked,
Knowledge.
which also is most likely why he was so attached to it. Also, side note, he was definitely the best dressed influencer
I hate these tracksuits. They're so tacky.
I have ever seen. Because, I mean, you have to be a special kind of person to rock a full Gucci tracksuit and stunt like this in front of a Lamborghini. There is no self-awareness here, but hey, power to him. But he wasn't always the Lambo stunting Gucci tracksuit wearing guy, because he also came from humble beginnings. Because he would tell people about his past struggles with substance abuse back in the early 2000s, how he
That's
got
sad.
clean, how
Yeah.
he went to Christian college, and even married his admissions counselor. He explored various business ventures, including graphic design and running a car wash, all in his search
So
for his
he's an entrepreneur. Yeah, I understand. It's just like fucking crypto, man.
calling.
Rug
But then
pullers.
he discovered
I remember there were people in Classic WoW that were like trying to get people to buy the stupid NFT monkeys, man.
digital currencies, or cryptocurrency. And it seems like he
that's
really started to
sad.
rake it in when he found out he could use platforms to promote crypto coins. So when the pandemic hit in 2020, Ben really leveled up his operation. He invested in a professional studio setup, hired a production team, and started cranking out as much crypto content as possible. And for a while,
Entrepreneur.
it seemed like nothing could stop him, because at the height of the crypto bubble, Ben claimed his portfolio had around $40 million in various cryptocurrencies. But as we later on found out, it turns out that a lot of those assets weren't technically in Ben's name. They belonged to a company called BJ Investment Holdings that he shared with his business partner
BJ.
TJ Shed. But at the
Ooh.
time, this wasn't something he disclosed to his audience. So to me, it seemed like while
On
TJ
purpose.
handled all the business operations, Ben was essentially the face of the brand. And in 2023, Ben landed a reported $1 million a month sponsorship deal with Stake, an online casino that enables cryptocurrency gambling. But even when Ben was way up on his high horse, there were some clear warning signs. Because the dude kept promoting coins that tanked immediately after he posted his video, and then you
But the people are stupid.
had all the allegations
bye,
towards
bye.
him not properly disclosing if he was actually sponsored by this coin or not. And not disclosing at paid financial partnerships, that's a big no-no, especially when you're indirectly promoting investment advice. But obviously, it was all branded
Who-
as
who
not
wants a
financial
little fraud?
advice. So
Tasty.
that was his get out of jail free card. Ironically, he's facing some serious time for not this whatsoever. So going back quickly to 2022, Ben posted on Reddit saying, "Let's be clear, I'm not going to prison. Maybe some fine one day based on shifting security laws." Yeah, looking back, that comment aged about as well as you would expect, since he clearly should have been more worried about himself rather than regulations.
What if I told you there's a project guaranteed to increase in price? I know you would probably want to jump in, but I'm sure the first thought you would have would be, wait a second, that doesn't sound right.
I got a letter from the SEC last
If
night.
it's too good to be true, it's probably not real, man. I don't know how many times I have to say this, chat. Don't get fucking scammed, man. It was the Jim Cramer of cryptos. Unironically better investing is he didn't. Investing in other people's fucking crypto coins? Bro.
I don't know how long it had been sitting, waiting for me to get back. Gary Gensler has now came knocking at my door. Very scared, Gary. I'm very scared.
You wanna know what's sad? I owned like 50 BTC in 2010, sold a year later in 2011, was the decision of my life. Yeah, I had a friend that had a brother, an older brother, because we were kids, we couldn't like buy stuff, obviously, but he had a brother, an older one, that bought a Bitcoin, and then he sold it when it went up by like $300, and that's it. Yeah, like he sold it when it was like up $300 because he needed $300. He was like 18, I think, or 19 years old.
Scared.
Yeah.
I will start by giving you my reaction to the SEC letter from Gary Gensler.
How much is a Gucci jumpsuit, I wonder? Letter from the FTC.
That's my reaction.
Because, I mean, you know, the fact that his whole pamp promotion was legal is just wild to me. But, I mean, we're also in 2025 where everyone and their grandmother has launched a meme coin at this point.
Yes.
So, I don't think...
Even Hollow Live has people that impersonate them to, like, sell crypto and hack their accounts to, like, sell crypto to silly people who think it's real. Yeah, Crony Coin. Yep. And it worked. And it worked. That's the worst part. There were probably at least a couple thousand people that got scammed by this shit. They can't do anything about it. It's not their fault, ultimately.
Everyone's gonna get arrested anytime soon. I digress. So going back to the timeline here, over time, people started realizing, hey, there's some changes with Ben's personality. TJ, who is probably the person closest to Ben's business operations, said in an interview that Ben lost track of the person that he used to be. He caused enormous damage to both his professional and personal relationships. Then in May of 2023, during the time when the crypto market was really struggling, to put it lightly, Ben decided to launch his own meme coin called Ben Coin. Or, well, he didn't actually launch this coin. This coin was launched by another Ben called Ben.eth, who is also a questionable figure in the space, to put it lightly. And Ben kind of did this like weird corporate takeover of this meme coin. My understanding is he invested a large amount of money into it and tried to like run it up to his followers. And he worked on this with someone by the name of Cassandra, who was working as a contractor for his company and had actually been pretty valuable to his operation, because she was apparently one of the people who helped secure this massive stake sponsorship deal. But Ben's staff thought this meme coin idea was absolutely terrible. Let's just say they could see it for what it was, a shameless cash grab that would make Ben look like a complete sellout, which is absolutely wild that that's where they drew the line, because he was doing all sorts of crazy stuff before then.
The tracksuits, no, they're not $400 to $500. They are like more like $4,000 to $6,000. No, they're not. They're not $1,500. Like that one, I'm pretty sure I saw some freaking influencer talking about it. Like, I think it was on stream. Like a rich streamer was talking about it, and they were like, "Yeah, Gucci stuff costs like fucking $5,000." New, used? Yes, I'm saying new, not used. Obviously, used is gonna be less. I'm saying like brand new. They cost like $5,000 on average.
Suing
they
me.
Aren't that expensive.
Like, how did they not see that was going to be a bad idea? Obviously, I'm biased here, but still. What about Pamp? Like, there's so many projects he's promoted that would be like a terrible idea, but they went along with that. Well, they drew the line on the meme coin. But let me make it extremely clear. I don't think a meme coin is a good idea whatsoever for him, nor do I think it's a good idea now. I think anyone who launches a meme coin right now is making a serious mistake. Obviously, sites like Pump Fun have completely normalized it, but either way.
Gee, I wonder what Pump Fund is gonna do to my crypto.
I do not think it's a good idea to essentially be a facilitator of speculation and gambling, especially if you have a public brand and image and reputation to maintain. But this is where things got kind of dicey because Ben was still married to his wife Bethany Armstrong at this time, and they had 3 young kids together. So not only was he making questionable business decisions, but he was also destroying his personal life in the process, as TJ said himself. And the staff didn't want the BitBoy channel associated to BenCoin at all. And by August of 2023, the situation had deteriorated to the point where Ben's own business partners decided they needed to remove him from the company entirely. So Hit Network, the parent company of BJ Investment Holdings, essentially executed a corporate coup to
they betrayed him.
Strip Ben's control of the
They do not give a fuck about each other. Yeah, be my friend, invest in this company. Yeah, fuck you. I'm taking over the company and I'm kicking you out.
BitBoy crypto brand. And I think this was also a questionable idea because, you know, they built the entire brand around this guy. So yeah. So TJ Shed apparently used a clause in their operating agreement that allowed him to actually buy out Ben's stake in the business. And this effectively cut him out of everything they'd built together. And this, I guess, leads us to the most symbolic moment in Ben's downfall, where he lost the Lamborghini that had become synonymous with a success story. And this whole situation was so unbelievably insane that I didn't believe, like, when you went live with this situation, I just had to go live because it was just unbelievable for me. But TLDR, Ben decided to bring his side chick to his business partner's house and get his Lamborghini back.
What? Wait, you just gonna take it and drive it away? With your freaking girlfriend or whatever, your mistress?
While he was live streaming, and apparently had a firearm in the car as well. So, you know, that was just unbelievable. Obviously, the police were called because he also ding-dong ditched Carlos while live streaming. There was like a whole plethora of things that were just like, what is going on here? And naturally, he was arrested. And this is where this infamous moment happened where the police asked him, who is in the car? And you saw he did not want to answer that because he remembered he was live streaming this himself. So this was being broadcasted for the entire world to see, or well, at least the whole crypto community to see. And he had publicly apologized to his wife and to his business partners previously, saying that he's all in it for them. He's focused on his family and he's going to get better. Then he admits that his side piece is in the car with him as he's acting incredibly manic outside of his business partner's house, claiming he's going to, you know, get his Lambo back. I am still shocked that was a moment on the internet that actually happened because I cover a lot of insane stuff here. Little did I know that was going to happen. Like, if I go back to
it sounds like a sitcom, genuinely. Like, you could probably write a sitcom that just turns out like this and people would find it funny. Is I can't side pieces in the car in a while, dude.
2022, I think I made that video.
Yeah,
no, 2021.
streaming.
I think I made my first video on BitBoy in 2021 about his whole PAMP thing.
Dude,
Little did I know
5
that
years
that
ago
video would then slowly turn into this big of a story. So when I made that video on him, I thought he was just going to be, you know, just another crypto scumbag. Little did I know he was going to become basically the largest crypto scumbag and then have one of the craziest downfalls of all time in an extremely short amount of time. But just to give you, I guess, the quick TLDR of that case, in case you don't remember the full details, there was a crypto investor by the name of Carlos Diaz. Carlos is apparently a huge BitBoy fan since the beginning, and somehow he convinced Ben to sign over the title of the Lamborghini to him. So that didn't make sense whatsoever. From what I could find on Twitter and so on, the internet was saying that Carlos' version of the story was that he had invested heavily into BenCoin based on Ben's promotion. Apparently he lost a whole bunch of money when the coin crashed and wanted the car's compensation. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounds questionable, to put it lightly. Then you have Ben's version of the events is that Carlos showed up claiming to represent Hit Network and was trying to help the company raise emergency funds, also mentioning that he felt physically intimidated into signing over the title of the Lamborghini. Whatever the real story was, Ben ended up driving to Carlos's house with Cassandra, live streaming the entire confrontation to his audience. And what's also important—
I will never understand this, like live streaming, just doing this dumbass shit.
Important is not only did he live stream everything, he also, you know, publicly doxed Carlos's address and ended up getting arrested on camera.
This is where Carlos lives, guys. I am live streaming from Carlos's house. Carlos has my Lamborghini right
My
here
Lamborghini!
in his garage.
Well, it's not
I'm
yours
gonna be
anymore,
live
buddy.
streaming, and I'm gonna be telling the entire story.
Dude, he's out of breath walking around. Cheese and crackers, man.
Carlos Diaz. Who Carlos Diaz is. I'm gonna be talking about all the people he's affiliated with. I'm gonna
He's
be talking about
hyperventilating,
how he
man.
got into my building. I'm gonna talk about all of it. I'm not scared of you, Carlos. Sorry, I reached too fast. I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay.
Put your phone down.
Okay.
Put your phone down.
Okay. I'll put the phone down. Okay.
Put the phone.
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Put the phone down.
Put the fanny pack down.
Okay.
What's going on?
What's going on? This man inside of this house.
Actually, he's gonna check you real quick.
Absolutely.
Just the weapons.
I'm sorry. I have a. Okay. Okay. Yep. No weapons.
So when this case went to court, the judge ruled in Carlos's favor, and the reasoning was pretty straightforward. The judge determined that Ben couldn't prove the vehicle was his personal property rather than a company asset. So the Lamborghini that Ben had used as his ultimate symbol of his crypto success might have never belonged to him in the first place. So apparently the company could have just owned the car all along. And while Ben was fighting all these—
So for those that don't know, when you like buy a car, sometimes if you have like a company, you can sign the loan into the company. That's what basically happened. He didn't buy it under his name, which you can do if you own a company. But if you want like a tax write-off, you sign it for the company.
legal battles, it's safe to say his personal life was definitely struggling. And with his business empire essentially collapsing on him, he decided to start over. He launched a brand new YouTube channel called Ben Armstrong Crypto, which is now called BitBoyX. And this, I guess, was an attempt—
5 reasons to buy Bitcoin now. Oh, the biggest Bitcoin crash ever. Oh my god, chat. These are a lot of subs too. What the fuck?
called BitBoyX. And this, I guess, was an attempt to rebuild his brand. But the response was somewhat mixed, to say the least, because at this point, people were watching more out of curiosity of his downfall than, you know, in genuine interest to his advice. Because he's been— how do we even put this? At the time of all of this going down, he kind of painted himself as a complete crash out. So he's not really proving himself as the person to go to for crypto investment advice. Because I mean, let's be real. If you watch his actions, it's not like you're gonna go, oh, I'm gonna trust this guy's opinion with my money. Because I mean, at this point, he just seemed manic and insane. And I don't think anyone wants to trust the opinion or trust anyone who's manic and insane with their money. So it's just a massive uphill battle for Ben to rebuild.
Guys, it has been a rough couple weeks. I think everybody sees what I've been through. And I just want you guys to know that I love you and I appreciate you, and you have a new name. Your name used to be the Bit Squad, but the Bit Squad goes away with the BitBoy Crypto channel.
The
BitBoy as a name for me is dead. I am now Ben Armstrong, which is my name, and I gotta be honest with you. Certainly the branding with BitBoy was great, but the thing is,
dude, look at this mansion he's walking around in.
Here soon, and having people call you,
dude, he's acting like he's like, I don't know. It reminds me of the way he moves his hair and like looks at the camera. He's just chasing being like 25. Even though he's like a fucking 50-year-old man.
BitBoy. It's a little
It's weird. Empty. Yeah, because it's fake.
From
he
now
probably
on,
rents it.
BitBoy is dead. The Bit Squad is dead. Ben Armstrong is here. And Ben Nation, that is our community.
But Ben kept insisting that he was the victim of some elaborate corporate conspiracy, but at this point, considering what we know, viewers weren't very sympathetic towards this narrative. Meanwhile, his legal problems kept accumulating, and he's already burned through more than $150,000 on lawyers and had lost a significant chunk of his assets. And obviously, when the news of Ben's affair with Cassandra first broke, he and his wife Bethany made a video where they both pledged to work on their marriage and, you know, keep their family together. And that's the video I mentioned.
They have 3 kids, man, dude.
Previously, and in October, Bethany filed for divorce. So by the end of 2023, Ben had lost pretty much everything: his company, his brand, his marriage, his car, and most of his money. And that's pretty much where we were up to, because throughout 2024, other than the efforts of, you know, trying to rebuild his audience, things were relatively quiet on the Ben Armstrong front. Everything up until now that we've discussed in this video is happening roughly 2 years ago. But then February of 2025 rolled around, and everything exploded in the most diabolical yet yet tragic way. Because I guess in between that, he started a boxing career where he was doing these like crypto influencer boxing matches. That's pretty much it though. But then February of 2025 came around, and it's safe to say a whole lot of stuff just got flared up, because on February 11th, 2025, Ben posted a now deleted tweet that would turn out to be a preview of his complete mental breakdown. He wrote, "Hit network for 18 months has destroyed my life. TJ Shed has willfully targeted me. Congratulations to him. Cassie and I broke up today. The day I start telling the story. I'm willing to lose Cassie, my lawyers, my kids, my audience, my channel, and my life before I'm willing to die without people knowing what actually happened." That tweet, I guess, was a warning shot aimed at everyone he blamed for his situation, because 3 days later, on Valentine's Day, he followed through on his threat in the most unhinged way possible. Then started
Valentine's Day triggered. He's like, I lost my wife. I'm thinking about my wife. On Valentine's Day, I'm gonna pop the fuck off.
live stream called BitBoy_manifesto, which he opened by literally screaming at everyone.
Do I have your attention now?
Ah!
Do I have it?
That needs to be like a meme soundbite. That is so good. That came from the soul.
You're gonna listen to my demands. I will make them at the end.
Which is possibly one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. Again, I mean, it's all downhill. The dude started falling down that staircase in 2023, and he is still falling down that staircase today. And at one point while going through this entire manifesto, it became very clear that this was written by ChatGPT. So that's interesting as well.
Oh
However, though,
God.
he never really made any demand by the end of the stream. He just seemed defeated, and it's honestly pretty sad to watch. The whole broadcast lasted nearly 4 hours and was filled with bizarre accusations, contradictory
He's having a
statements,
schizo
sensitive topics,
meltdown.
and moments where Ben seemed to forget what he was even talking about halfway through his sentence.
Ooh.
Overall, it was just a
ADHD?
complete dumpster fire of a stream. Like, the whole thing didn't make sense. He would have been so much better if he never did that. He would have been so much better if he never did a whole bunch of things that he did. But again, it keeps getting worse, because early in the stream, he made it clear that his entire life had been focused
She
on
threw a plushie at me. At least Mizkiv finished reading his AI script, okay? He didn't deviate and, like, forget what he was doing. He had stimulants. Yeah, like, losing your train of thought and, like, freaking schizoing out and not remembering what you were talking about, that's definitely, like, under the influence of something.
one goal: getting revenge.
Especially if you have a script. Like, you can just read something and be like, oh, I lost my spot or whatever. Like,
On his former business partners and
He's just
reclaiming
having
the
a
BitBoy
melty.
brand.
My entire life is dedicated to shutting that channel down. That's when this is over. The day Discover Crypto is
oh my god. It's an BitBoy manifesto?
shut down.
Someone
And I
check
get
his
my
hard
brand,
drive. What do you mean
BitBoy Crypto, give it
manifesto?
back to me.
Buddy, that ship has sailed. But shortly after that statement, he went on to talk about being framed for stealing $27 million.
In order to try to get me in trouble for their crimes. This is a true story, guys. I'm going to say this, and this is hard. This is going to be hard for my kids. It's hard for my ex-wife. The fact is, I'm not trying to play victim. If I would have gone back to Bethany, I would have stayed in that basement, and I would have made videos like they told me to. These guys were actively and still are actively, along with George Koenig and Justin Odell, trying to frame me for stealing $27 million that these guys stole in the beginning. Not only did
Do
they
you hear
steal
the
my
echo
money,
in
they
the
wanted
room?
to
It's so
fucking send me to
empty.
prison.
But I feel like one of the more concerning
That's an
parts of
insane
this
amount of
first
money,
hour and a
dude.
half came when he described being forced to see a psychiatrist who diagnosed him with dissociative identity disorder, narcissistic personality disorder, manic depression, ADHD, and supposedly 74 different conditions total. Ben's response to this professional evaluation was apparently to attack the doctor personally and claim that all his problems would magically disappear once his enemies were removed from the internet.
The doctor that Brandy DeSwanee had forced me to go see, by the way, when I said I didn't
No, the doctor doesn't know what they're talking about. They're like an alien. They're a lizard that's trying to get me to go to chill out. I can't do this.
want to see that doctor. I went and saw another doctor, and then they said, no, that doctor's not good. You have to go see this one. So I went and saw this guy, Dr. Howard Drutman. What if disappointment of a human being he is. This guy, after all I'm about to go through with you here, said I'm multi-personality. He says I'm, he didn't say schizophrenic, but he said narcissistic. He said I am manic, depressed, ADHD, this. 74 different things. But you know what he didn't say? Anything about my trauma. He didn't say anything about my PTSD of what I've been through. Nothing. You know what his suggestion was? He needs to stop smoking pot and get on more prescription drugs.
I don't think the only thing he's smoking is pot. I ain't gonna hold you. People who smoke pot don't behave like this. Yeah, no, this is not pot behavior.
That's why I gave him
There's some other stuff in there. He's not being honest.
My old lawyer, the worst lawyer of all time. Randy, I don't know why you hate me. You're going to find what was done to me is real. And once this trauma is removed and Discover Crypto is shut down, my life goes back to normal immediately. My level goes from here.
What the hell?
Oh, everything's fine again. These people have to be removed from the internet.
Suddenly, the lawsuit towards me started to make a little bit more sense. But after this, Ben started pushing his luck as he displayed an attorney's website on screen and explicitly told his audience to contact her and tell her how they felt about her not letting him see his kids.
This is her website. I want you to let her know what you guys think about her not letting me see my kids. It's been 6 weeks since Christmas. I got to see them one time. I can't even give them their Christmas gifts. My son's jersey is the biggest thing. I haven't been able to give it to him. My wife won't cooperate. And also, Brandy DeSwanee will not cooperate. Nobody will
Yeah, I don't know. After you like yelling and saying, "Give me attention, pay attention." Yeah, I would probably not let you near kids. I'm just saying. Even if you're like a dad, I don't know, you might schizo out and like slam a table. That shit fucks kids up too, like getting violent and shit.
Cooperate to let me see my children. I get to talk
even if you don't like
for
hurt
10
them
minutes
physically, it's like a mental
2
thing.
weeks. And why am I getting drug tests? Because my wife Bethany reported
that damn bitch
to the court that I asked on Twitter whether people believed that I was doing or not. And the reason I asked because I was
wait, what? It was bleeped. Hold on.
That I was doing or not. And
they were doing it. Doing what? Oh, coke? Oh.
the reason I asked because I was using for evidence for the case for things I'm doing right now. So I've been having
with how erratic he is, definitely, probably. Like, stimulants.
drug tests ever since things happened.
Not doubting it.
I never wanted it to be this way between us.
Which is just so sad. But obviously, that's not going to help his custody situation at all. But Ben just seems to be beyond caring about any consequences whatsoever. Unfortunately for him, that ship has also sailed. Because let's be real, someone who opens their live stream trying to clear their name like this.
Do I have your attention now?
Should not be near kids whatsoever. He then spent a significant portion of the stream ranting about George Koenig, who he claimed was the mastermind behind some sort of conspiracy to steal his money. However, Ben kept switching between calling George his lawyer and then calling him a criminal, even though that George was actually representing the other side in his legal battles.
Because of George Koenig. George Koenig is a corrupt one. I want everybody to know that. Daniel is just kind of weird. Like, you would not trust your kids with Daniel Norris, okay? At all.
Ooh.
George Koenig? Well, if you're a dude, be careful. But in all seriousness, George Koenig is the mastermind behind layering this from a lawyer perspective to help them do all this and steal all this and get away with it. He's also, I want you guys to think about this. I'm in a current case with CFTC along with Hit Network. And you know who my lawyer is? George Koenig.
That's crazy.
Judge Marjorie Childs and Special Master of the Loud. Not Marjorie Childs, I'm sorry. Judge Kimberly Childs. I missaid your name. I'm really sorry, Judge. I believe the judge was involved in this decision that, guys, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, shit. You know it's bad if he's losing his train of thought while he's, doing the booger juice.
Then at one point, Ben flat out accuses George of bribing judges, which definitely is not going to help his legal case.
George Koenig, I want admitted on the lawsuit. George Koenig is not a regular lawyer. He is a criminal. He knows the securities laws in and out. You know he knows there's criminals, and he knows how to frame me. He's got to be part of the lawsuit. We have to amend it. My lawyers don't want to do it because they believe he's a lawyer, and they don't want to do it to lawyers, but he's got to be added. Daniel Norris, I don't think Daniel Norris has to be added. I just would not trust my kids around that guy. Oh, God. This article also highlights how the network requested a restraining order against me, painting me as a threat to distract from their assets, TJ. You gotta understand, here's what they did. So when TJ and them cooed, they went to Accuracy Police and told them I was going to kill everybody, and they had to put a cop car in front for several weeks. So I couldn't come into my own building. I own 67% of because TJ changed the locks.
man.
They had a cop out there. And then we went to court, and George Koenig bribed the court. I'm sure George Koenig bribed the court and made it where they dropped it in the beginning because they thought they were going to get away with it.
In the beginning?
Judge Kimberly Childs. I love Judge Kimberly Childs. She's so honorable.
Now, another low point of the stream
Dude, he's so hyped. How could you not think he's not on something, man?
came when Ben, as I mentioned earlier, revealed that he's been using ChatGPT to write parts of his manifesto. Ben also kept trying to use the AI to rewrite articles about himself to make him look even better. And when, I guess, the summaries kept making him look bad, he started arguing with the program like it was a person.
Do you know how bad that is? That ChatGPT is arguing with you and saying that you're the bad guy because ChatGPT is programmed to be more agreeable. No, I'm serious. Like, ChatGPT is programmed to be more lenient and agreeable with you so that you stay on the website for longer. It's literally like an algorithmic thing. So if the ChatGPT is like, whoa, maybe you shouldn't do that, or like, this is kind of bad, but hear me out. Like, that's fucking bad, dude.
And who was supposed to be helping him.
Give me a 2-paragraph summary of the New York Times article and how it relates to the real BitBoy story.
He's doing it live on stream. Oh my god, he has a bunch of ChatGPT bots over here. Dude, how do you even do that? Do you have to like program them individually or something? Well, not program, but like, you know, tweak them? How does that work?
Ben basically admitted to the very thing I mentioned in my original video that sparked his whole lawsuit against me. The pump and dump schemes. For him, the real issue was that I'd accuse him of doing a pump and dump, but he claimed his team was doing that behind his back without his knowledge.
The Itozi lawsuit and conspiracy. The lawsuit between me and Itozi initially appeared to be a defamation dispute centered around allegations of crypto pump and dumps. However, the deeper truth revealed a strategic cover-up orchestrated by hit network Justin Williams and affiliated actors to deflect blame for their financial misconduct into Armstrong. This document exposes the hidden mechanisms behind the lawsuits, actors involved, and the real financial beneficiaries of the PAMP scheme and other similar crypto projects. Me, acted as a hype man promoting coins without financial access to financial operations. Never had control for wallets, liquidity, or token distribution. This one is actually not true. I did have control of my PAMP wallet. I told you guys if I go through here and something's not true, I did have access over my PAMP wallet, and I can eventually find that wallet and show it to you guys. You'll find it didn't make any money. But here's the important part. In September of 2020, right? So the PAMP was in August of 2020. By September of 2020, TJ comes in. By October of 2020, I have no financial control of the company. I have no access to anything that TJ and his dad, or TJ at first, and then TJ and his dad don't have access to. I sued Itozi for defamation because of his claim. He claimed I was responsible for pump and dumps without realizing it was my own team executing these schemes behind my back.
Oh my
and at this point, honestly, this just kind of seems like a classic BitBoy move. Nothing's ever his fault, and everyone is against him. There might have been pump and dump schemes happening, but Ben was innocent here.
I lost $5,000 on PAM, something like that. That's not an exact number.
Dude, the coke is frying his brain, dude.
I think it was a week later that I sold it, maybe 10 days after the video, something like that. I didn't sell anything after the video because, guys, I was an idiot like y'all. I thought all these coins were going up. If Justin Williams, these guys were telling me they were going up.
I'm one of you guys.
Yeah, this is coming from someone who had spent years positioning himself as a crypto expert, telling people which investments, not exactly to make, but what he would recommend, you know, indirectly hinting at buying, all while accepting payments from projects to promote them, and then building his entire brand around being someone who understood the market better than
Here's a newsflash. People who do like Bitcoin and stocks and all that shit, it's all basically fake. And also, I would argue, this might be a hot take, I would say 90% of like health influencers, they're not there to fucking help you. They want to make money off of you. Don't fucking overeat and go outside and take a walk. Like 90% of the time, you're probably gonna lose weight. Like, that shit is crazy. Like, personal trainers is, like, different because you're, like, charging someone to, like, help you. Maybe you don't have, like, a friend to, like, motivate you. Like, what the fuck ever. I don't know what's going on in your life. But, like, fitness influencers who, like, Photoshop their asses to be huge or, like, their titties and, like, having a tiny little waist and then, like, selling you a book and shit, they're all scammers, too. Like you just, it's all about like perception. It's not real.
Anyone else. And then now suddenly he's saying he was an idiot like y'all when it comes to these shady coins. Dude, I'm not buying that whatsoever. And also, as the stream went on, Ben became increasingly reckless about displaying contact information of
Oh, are we lagging? Huh. Well, shit, balls, dude. Oh, it was a little it was a little spike. Okay, sorry about that.
state agents.
It was a little
He
frame
looked
drop.
up contact information for the Cobb
We're
County
good.
Police Department and told his audience not to contact them.
Here's the full Lamborghini extortion call from Carlos to me. You can find it
Dude,
on
he
Twitter.
loves his
Here's the detailed
Lambo.
breakdown. Analysis of Lamborghini extortion call. Cobb County Police. Let's find Cobb County Police contact info. I don't know if anybody cares. If you do care, here's the Cobb County Police Department right here. 545 Fairground Street. Here's their phone number. Don't call them and tie up their phone lines. Don't call 911. Don't make
Why would you?
emergencies not be able to get got. If you're from Cobb
You're such a retard. Holy fuck.
County, call the police. Go to the police department. Go to their website. Tag them on Twitter. Where's their Twitter? Here, I'll follow them. Hey, Cobb County Police Department.
Then later he did the
Trying to dox the cop. No, it's not that. That information is obviously public, but he don't clog the fucking police line. Yeah, your audience is definitely gonna listen. Yeah, for sure.
exact same thing with another attorney involved in his case, displaying her email address and encouraging her followers to let her know what you think about her attempt to cover up everything.
Where's Lori Dyke? Let's see. What's Lori Dyke's email? Hold on just a second. So you guys can all email Lori Dyke. She to the court. I'll get in big trouble for saying that we're doing this because the court hates when people hold them accountable. They hate when anybody suggests that maybe someone there is corrupt because the court hates the mention of corruption. They don't hate corruption. They love corruption, but they hate the mention of it.
Huh?
As you know,
What?
Cobb County, the worst of
What is
all.
this
You
guy
guys should email
yapping
Lori.
on
It's-
about? What the fuck?
Here, I'll put it on Twitter. This is not my account. I don't know whose this is. Have y'all looked into Lori Dyke? She hates when you say her last name too. She hates that. She hates her last name. You guys all email Lori and let her know what you think about her attempt to cover up everything for me. You'll see it gets much worse.
I mean, at this point, Ben had completely abandoned any pretense of being the victim. Like, he was actively encouraging his followers to harass multiple people involved in his legal proceedings.
Yeah,
And the stream
basically.
continued for another hour, with Ben becoming increasingly erratic and eventually started speaking about his depression while also stating he
Oh,
would
no,
never
not
harm
the
himself
trauma
because of his
dumping.
love for his children.
My kids, man. My kids. I love my kids so much. They think they're
But you won't quit doing drugs and you won't stop scamming people. I hate this shit. I'm sorry. You really love your kids. You can stop. I've heard from a lot of stories from people who were like drug addicts, so that they had like a really rough life. Their children are usually one of the reasons they're like, I have to do this for my kids. You have to at least try. This guy is freaking out and blaming everyone but himself at this point. Oh, I love my kids. Then fucking get clean and stop.
dad is
Stop
some
blaming
kind of,
everyone.
He's some kind of crazy, he might fly off at the handle, do anything at any second. All of a sudden, he's crazy.
The whole stream was
Yeah,
just
you are being
incredibly
crazy.
sad to
Behave
see.
yourself,
But then comes
man.
the next act, jail. Because a few days after that live stream, Ben seemed to recognize that he'd gone way too far. He posted a video in which he had a black eye, apologizing to various people, including his
Oh, God, he
ex-wife
got
and his
into a
audience,
fight?
also stating that it wouldn't ever happen again, and that he was
Oh,
going to focus
Lord.
on crypto content going forward. But unfortunately, that didn't take too long. Because in March of 2025, Ben was arrested in Florida on a fugitive warrant related to charges filed in Georgia. Apparently, he'd been making harassment allegations against the judge in his case. He had fired his lawyer, deciding to represent himself, and threatened the judge on LinkedIn, saying, Judge Kimberly of Cobb County has ruled against my motion for receivership of Hit Network. This is a decision she will regret for the rest of her life. Threatening a judge might be one of the dumbest things you can possibly do when you're already in multiple legal battles. But apparently, Ben just doesn't care. He was then released about 10 days later, but his behavior did not improve. He then decided to double
what a
down on threats
surprise.
against judges and police officers, which led to another arrest in June. And the mugshot of that arrest became pretty infamous because he looks like a shell of the man he once.
Well, yeah, they don't really feed you that well in prison. The same thing happened to that guy, Vitali. Yeah, Vitali. He was like a big, like, buff kind of guy. This guy is chonky, but when you go to prison, they do not feed you well. They do not. They might feed you, but it's not good food.
was. Eventually, Ben ended up in a psychiatric facility, which was probably the best possible outcome given how his behavior had escalated. One of his former colleagues, a guy who goes by AJ Reich's Crypto, who had tried to help Ben rebuild his channel, wrote a detailed post about what had happened. Drugs, ego, paranoia, and a complete disconnection from reality had destroyed Ben's mind. He said Ben was currently in a mental hospital, not prison or rehab, and he had offered to pay Ben to get treatment, but Ben had refused. AJ described it as a tragedy rather than a redemption story, which pretty much sums up how this whole situation played out. The big question now is what happens when Ben gets out of the psychiatric facility? Because realistically, he's currently facing years in prison for all the harassment charges, or a judge might actually rule that he wasn't mentally competent when he made those threats. Then, of course, since everything about this story keeps getting worse, it does in fact keep getting worse, because remember he was dealing with all these legal problems? Well, he also said some absolute insane stuff about Kevin O'Leary. Yes, you know, the Shark Tank guy. Because Ben spent way too much time claiming that Kevin was responsible for a 2019 boating accident where Kevin's wife was driving when two people lost their lives. The accident had been investigated and ruled accidental, with Kevin's wife being cleared of any wrongdoing. But Ben decided it was actually a cover-up and started calling Kevin—
It was the aliens. They did that.
A murderer on social media. Ben then escalated this to the point where he was doxing Kevin's phone number and encouraging his followers to call him. Eventually, Kevin had enough and filed a defamation lawsuit, which is just incredibly ironic because the guy who filed a slap suit defamation lawsuit against me is actually being sued for defamation, for real defamation. But because Ben is dealing with multiple arrests and his mental health crisis, he never bothered to defend himself in that case. And the judge issued a judgment in Kevin's favor, and the damages will be determined later on this year. Apparently this judgment happened a month ago, but there's no public information on what actually happened to this trial. So Ben lost that on default,
settled,
but
maybe?
the trials kept going and Ben did not appear. So the last hearing was on October 30th. O'Leary presented 2 witnesses. Armstrong did not appear. So after the hearing, the court requested additional material. So even though that Ben didn't show up, they did go forward without him because I guess they're just assuming that he's not showing up, and I'm assuming also he's representing himself just like his other case. But it seems like the judge has not issued a final written damages judgment yet. Okay, so I just wanted to figure out what was going on with that case real quick. I digress. At this point, it is fairly safe to say that Ben's life might have actually hit rock bottom. The butterfly effect from this initial decision to act inappropriately at his company led to a complete destruction of everything that he'd built. Because essentially, him acting out completely destroyed his career. He essentially chose to go to war with everyone around him and lost absolutely everything in the process. So right now, hopefully Ben is getting the help he desperately needs. Whether he'll be able to rebuild any kind of normal life after this still remains to be seen, given the bridges he's already burned and the legal troubles he's currently facing. That's definitely not going to be easy for him. It's going to be a real uphill battle. But for the sake of the kids, I really hope that Ben eventually figures out how to get his life back on track. But based on everything we've seen, my hopes are—
He's essentially just a lol cow at this point. You'd have to really turn himself around and just like quit and stop blaming everyone but himself. It's not rock bottom yet. Being a prison bitch is probably gonna be it. I don't know. Maybe he realizes that prison is pretty fucking bad. How is people finding money for drugs? I think when you stop having money for like the drug that you want, you start looking for other means of getting drugs that aren't as good just to fill the void, like cheaper ones. Yeah, you do favors, you borrow money, you steal, but then if that runs out, you find ways of like getting other drugs.
Too high, because this would actually require him to change his approach to life and actually take responsibility for his own actions. While up until now he's shown no ability to do so. But you know, there's always some time. He was released from jail and he's since returned to YouTube on a new channel and is live streaming daily. But with crypto going into another potential bear market and with the overall hype for crypto tremendously down, that too will definitely be hard to rebuild. This whole saga has just been wild to watch unfold, but it's also an extremely tragic example of how social media fame and money can completely destroy someone's life when they lose sight of what actually matters. Because this guy had everything at one point and he just completely self-destructed. And that's the story of how the largest crypto YouTuber managed managed to destroy his entire life in the span of just a few years. A lot of people really wanted me to make an update video on the situation since everything has been in a downward spiral for him since the lawsuit. And I want to be honest and say, I am not happy to see all this happen. While he caused the most stressful week in my life, it's in the past. And all I can focus on is my actions today that will make...
This is a good guy, man. Even though it stressed him out, he doesn't wish him ill will. He just wants him to get better.
My life better tomorrow. And holding
Tozy.
some sort of grudge would not be a part of that. But do I think he acted like a complete moron and let his ego destroy his family's life? Absolutely. But I think it's an absolute tragedy, and I genuinely hope he gets the help he needs. And I truly do wish him and his family the best moving forward. But other than that, feel free to subscribe if you're new here. Drop a like if you enjoyed this massive recap, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Damn, dude, what a saga. I was not aware of this. I was a little bit out of the loop. I didn't start streaming yet. Good to know. Good to know. That was funny, dude. Sad, but funny. Watching this guy being cooked on tweaking the fuck out and dropping a Google Docie and freaking out on stream. Priceless.
Oh, yeah.